The Far Field by Madhuri Vijay. Shalini, a privileged young woman from Bangalore, becomes obsessed with the disappearance of a Kashmiri salesman named Bashir Ahmed, who used to visit her family home. She sets out to find him and heads to a shop in the city where he used to work. There, she meets Ikram, the shop owner, who tells her that Bashir has gone to his village in the Himalayas. Shalini travels to Kashmir, where she meets a student named Zahor, who helps her find a driver to take her to Bashir's village. Along the way, she is introduced to the region's complex history of political conflict and religious tension. Upon arriving in Bashir's village, she learns that he has been missing for some time. Determined to find out what happened to Bashir, Shalini decides to stay in the village. She befriends a young boy named Sadiq, who becomes her guide and interpreter in the village. Sadiq's family is poor and marginalized, and his mother is suffering from a mysterious illness. Shalini learns more about the region's political tensions and meets a charismatic separatist leader named Balan. Balan is skeptical of Shalini's motives and warns her to stay away from his cause. She discovers that Bashir had a connection to a powerful local family and decides to confront them. Shalini meets Gauhar, who is married to the family's eldest son and becomes Shalini's reluctant ally. She attends a local festival where she witnesses the harsh reality of life in the village, including the exploitation of poor workers and the brutal treatment of women. Shalini learns more about Sadiq's family and their struggles to survive in the village. She begins to feel a strong attachment to Sadiq and becomes determined to help his mother. Her investigations into Bashir's disappearance bring her into conflict with Balan, who accuses her of being a spy. Shalini is forced to confront the dangers of her quest and the potential consequences of her actions. She must navigate the complex and volatile social and political landscape of the region while grappling with her own personal demons and the legacy of her privileged upbringing. The novel explores themes of identity, family, grief, and political conflict, while offering a searing critique of contemporary Indian society. As the story unfolds, Shalini's search for Bashir takes her deeper into the heart of the conflict zone, where she must confront the harsh realities of life in a troubled region. She grapples with questions of belonging, loyalty, and responsibility, as she comes face to face with the human cost of political violence and the enduring legacy of historical trauma. Through her journey, Shalini begins to confront the contradictions and complexities of her own identity, as she struggles to reconcile her privileged upbringing with the harsh realities of life in the village. She is forced to confront uncomfortable truths about her own privilege and the ways in which it has shielded her from the harsh realities of life in India. The Far Field is a powerful and emotionally charged novel that offers a searing commentary on the social and political tensions that continue to shape contemporary India. It is a deeply personal and human story of one woman's search for meaning and connection in a world that often seems chaotic and unpredictable. Shalini begins to settle into life in the village and spends more time with Sadiq and his family. She is troubled by the power dynamics within the village and the ways in which the poor are exploited by the wealthy. She also discovers a hidden stash of letters written by Bashir, which offer new insights into his life and his relationship with the powerful family. Shalini attends a rally organized by Balan and becomes increasingly involved in the local separatist movement. She is drawn to the sense of purpose and belonging that it offers, but also begins to see the darker side of Balan's leadership. Shalini's relationship with Gauhar deepens as they begin to confide in each other. She learns more about Gauhar's own struggles and the challenges she faces as a woman in a conservative and patriarchal society. Shalini accompanies Sadiq's father on a trip to a nearby city and witnesses firsthand the stark disparities between urban and rural life in India. She also learns more about the ways in which the region's political conflicts have spilled over into everyday life. Shalini is forced to confront the consequences of her actions as she becomes the target of a violent attack by a group of men linked to the powerful family. She is rescued by Balan, who takes her under his protection. Shalini spends more time with Balan and begins to see the extent of his influence over the village. She also learns more about his personal history and the traumas that have shaped his worldview. Shalini attends a secret meeting of the separatist movement and is shocked by the violent rhetoric and tactics that are advocated by some members. She begins to question her own commitment to the cause and the ways in which her privileged position allows her to distance herself from the harsh realities of the conflict. Shalini's relationship with Sadiq becomes strained as he begins to resent her privileged position and her inability to understand the realities of life in the village. She also becomes increasingly aware of the limits of her own understanding and the ways in which her search for meaning and purpose may be misguided. Shalini's investigation into Bashir's disappearance leads her to confront the powerful family directly. She discovers a shocking truth about Bashir's fate and is forced to make a difficult decision about her own involvement in the conflict. Shalini returns to Bangalore and begins to grapple with the aftermath of her journey. She is forced to confront the ways in which her privileged position has shielded her from the harsh realities of life in India and the ways in which her own actions may have contributed to the violence and suffering that she witnessed. She must also confront her own grief and the unresolved questions that continue to haunt her. Shalini struggles to readjust to life in Bangalore and find a sense of purpose and meaning after her experiences in the village. She also grapples with the unresolved questions and loose ends from her journey. Shalini receives a surprise visit from Gauhar, who reveals a shocking truth about her own past and the challenges that she has faced as a woman in India. The conversation prompts Shalini to reflect on her own privilege and the ways in which it has shielded her from the harsh realities of life for many people in India. Shalini embarks on a journey to Kashmir to uncover the truth about Bashir's fate and to try to find closure for herself and his family. Along the way, she encounters a cast of characters who challenge her assumptions and force her to confront the complexity and ambiguity of the conflict. Shalini finally reaches the remote mountain village where Bashir was last seen and begins to piece together the events that led to his disappearance. She also learns more about the ways in which the conflict has affected the lives of ordinary people in the region. Shalini confronts the man who she believes is responsible for Bashir's disappearance and learns a shocking truth about his motivations and his connection to the powerful family that she encountered in the village. The encounter prompts Shalini to reflect on the ways in which the conflict is driven by deep-seated historical and political forces that are beyond the control of any one individual. Shalini returns to Bangalore and attempts to make sense of her experiences and find a way forward. She grapples with the lingering questions and unresolved tensions from her journey and struggles to come to terms with the complexity and ambiguity of the conflict. Shalini receives a final letter from Bashir, which offers a new perspective on his life and his experiences. The letter prompts Shalini to reflect on the power of human connection and the importance of empathy and understanding in a world that is increasingly marked by division and conflict. In the final pages of the book, Shalini comes to a deeper understanding of herself and her place in the world. She recognizes the limitations of her own perspective and the ways in which her own privilege and assumptions have shaped her worldview. At the same time, she finds a sense of hope and possibility in the connections that she has made with others and the experiences that she has had. The book ends with the suggestion that even in the face of overwhelming complexity and ambiguity, there is always the possibility for growth, connection, and understanding.